Hi all, this is Allmighty and welcome to this video. So in this video I prepared you a game between Anatoly Karpov and Ulf Andersson. So today we all know about Karpov, he is the world champion, but some of you may know about Ulf Andersson. He is one of the more famous Swedish chess players, and in those days he actually played against Karpov in this world championship under 20. So, nothing much to say here. I kind of spoiled it in the last video that Karpov actually won this championship, which awarded him the title of the International Master. But one thing is that at that time he actually developed his style a little bit, and he was actually a really good player, but he didn't actually had quite a chance to test himself out against one of the stronger grandmasters of that era, because in those times it was actually pretty hard to kind of get a match if you didn't qualify for some tournament, or if you played the candidates or something like that. It was pretty hard to actually play against the grandmaster. Nowadays you actually have a chance to go even tomorrow to a tournament somewhere, and probably even if you're an amateur player in the pairings at some point maybe you will even encounter a grandmaster. But yeah, that's how it is nowadays, but in those days it was quite different. Karpov will still wait for his chance, but definitely he got on the spotlight by winning the Under 20 Junior World Championship. But okay, this is the game that I actually wanted to show you, and there are actually, once again, two reasons for it. First, this is one of the more famous games from the Karpov's younger era, so a game where he actually kind of was still developing his style, but we could actually see what kind of a player Karpov will be in the future. And yeah, the other thing is that Karpov plays really differently in comparison to other players that I've showed on this channel. So if you enjoy games by Tal, maybe you will consider this game quite boring, but I definitely encourage you to go through this game move by move and just yeah, appreciate the beauty of Karpov's game and positional play, and actually how he manages to actually win against his opponents. So once again, disclaimer and a warning: if you enjoy only Tal's game, this is probably not a game for you. But if you enjoy chess in general, please keep in mind that not all players play the same, and this is just one of the examples how to play differently. Let's say e4, e5. Karpov is white, Andersson is black, and they go for the Rui Lopez, and we see kind of a pattern here among grandmasters of old and grandmasters of new, all playing Rui Lopez. So this opening is just for all times. It seems that both white and black enjoy playing it, because it seems that both white and black have some chances in that opening and definitely want to try and do something there. a6, bishop to a4, knight to f6, castles, bishop to e7, rook to e1, so going for the close Rui Lopez, like we seen yesterday in a game between Capablanca and Alekhine. We have b5, bishop to b3, and now castles. We saw d6 there, followed by knight to f5, but we will see a similar setup also in this game. c3, d6, and now h3, stopping bishop to g4, knight to a5. So a similar setup, but a different move order. We have bishop to c2, c5, and d4. Like yesterday, we have queen to c7, not capturing, giving white an option to capture, and when he opens it up, rook to d8 will come with a tempo, attacking the queen. But we have knight from b to d2, and now bishop to b7. And now a totally Karpov move, d5, blocking in the position. This is just a start for some kind of a journey in a Karpov game, where he kind of locks in all the things. He has a small advantage here, because with this pawn he is picking up more space in the center, and also he's leaving this d6 pawn weak, and he will just build on it throughout the game and try to take it as an advantage. Bishop moves back to c8 because he is not doing anything on this diagonal. He will try to do something on this diagonal, and now we have knight to f1. Knight will remaneuver from g3 to f5, or from e3 to f5. Bishop to d7, and now b3. continuing with the locking in the position. So now Karpov will play c4 and totally lock in the queen side, because he will look for his chances on the king side, and that's the whole reason. So I want to play on the king side, and in order to do that, I don't want to think about what will happen on the queen side. Rather, I will lock it in and yeah, just go for the king side, and black can do whatever he wants there. Knight to b7. Also, the knight goes back, and because yeah, he cannot no longer jump on c4 and make some kind of a threat. We have c4, and now rook from f to b8. Still, Andersson tries to make something out of it with these two rooks on the b file and the a file. Maybe he will get some chances here, but we see some pattern here. Now the minor pieces of black are already on the 7th rank, not doing much. But as we can see, white minor pieces are much more flexible and have much more space to actually go to. We have knight to e3, bishop to f8, and now knight to f5. The long-awaited maneuver with the knight, also fairly common in the Ruy Lopez. Knight to d8 and knight to h2. Now the knight will remaneuver to g4 and also try to attack this knight. So we have knight to e8, moving the knight away, and now h4, also pushing the pawn, f6, and h5. Wants to push this pawn as far as possible in order to disrupt the pawns on the king side and maybe try to go for some attack. We have knight to f7, stopping the push of the h6 pawn, and now rook e3. The rook lift, which will bring the rook to g3 and attack on the g file. We have knight to g5 locking in, so blocking the g file. Because of that, not right away with rook to g3, but actually one other thing. Also, what I would call a Karpov move, knight to h4. Now Karpov sees that he actually cannot go and push on the g file on the king side, and he knows that he doesn't want to go and give up the knight anymore, because if bishop captures and the pawn captures with this knight on g5, he will have a really difficult time actually pushing through. He would have to go through the e file, pushing f4 or something like that, and he is not prepared to do that. Actually, he wants to remaneuver the knight in order to have a much better position. Now we see queen to d8, only now rook to g3, and now knight to c7. Moving the knight on this side of the board, and now knight from 2 to f3. As we can see, now this knight has two options. He will either three options. He will either retreat, or he will capture on the knight on f3, or h6 will be played, so that if you capture that, once again Andersson can lock in the g file, so that there is no attack there. And here Andersson decides for the option of playing h6. But this makes a problem for him, because now he leaves the square wide open, and this is just a very good outpost for the knight, and Karpov plays it right away, knight to g6. As we can see, it is move 26, and all of the pieces are still on the board. This is something that represents Karpov's play and Karpov's games, I guess, in full, because he is just in a better position. Just look at this knight. And this isn't something that black has given him. He had carefully playing his pieces around, making some minor threats, simple threats, got into the position where he just has the knight on g6, and black's minor pieces here are looking silly. This knight on g5 has the only purpose of blocking the g file so that the white cannot attack here. But let's see what happened next. Now when Andersson actually saw that he cannot do anything on the king side, he tried a5. Karpov of course plays a4, and now b captures on c4 and b captures on c4. Now the b file is open and knight to a6 is played. We have queen to e2 and knight to b, not knight to b4. First Andersson went for the double up of the rooks, rook to a7, and here we have bishop to d2, rook to b, from a to b7, and bishop to c3. So a very good maneuver by Karpov, playing the bishop on a more active square, so to speak, but still guarding the b2 square so that the rooks cannot come on the second rank of white. Now we have knight to b4, and now bishop to d1. You don't want to give up pieces, and this seems like the best square you can put the bishop. Don't want to put it on b1. He'll be on the attack from those rooks when the knight moves. Also on b3. On d3 he can be captured. d1 is the only square you can put him to. Now knight to a6 back, and we have knight to d2. So it seems that Karpov is making some kind of a silly moves, but actually there is an idea behind it. As we can see with knight to b4 now, black doesn't really have an idea what to play, but Karpov actually has an idea, and you will see it right away after a couple of moves, of course. Rook to e3. Essentially, what I want to say, when seeing black playing back and forth with the knight, he saw that actually he doesn't have to worry, he doesn't have to play too fast, he can play on his plan a bit slower, but achieve advantage little by little. We have bishop to e8, but here Karpov doesn't have to be afraid of capture on g6, because after, okay, he played here knight to f1, after this capture, and if queen comes to e8, queen can simply come to h5, and this pawn is a very big threat, once again locking in, and now the h file is open. Knight can come on g3, on f5. You can look at some sacrifices on h6. A very good positional play by Karpov. So after knight to f1, here Andersson didn't take on g6. He played queen to c8. Now we have knight back to g3, bishop to d7, and queen to d2. The reason is you will see very soon. Knight to h7, as you can see, black just makes moves, no particular idea here. Bishop to e2, king to f7, okay, also a possible move with ideas, maybe the king will run away here if the attack becomes too severe. We have now queen to d1. So the idea a little bit crystallizes. Karpov realized that in this position, actually the only piece that kind of can make some of a threat or actually can bother him in some way is this bishop, because when he comes with the other knight on f5, bishop can capture on f5, and what he wants to do, he wants to exchange this bishop. Of course, this is not yet ready. Bishop is can come on g4, but only the queen guards him, so he will still need another piece to actually defend on g4. We have bishop to e7, and now knight comes to f1, bishop to d8, and now knight to h2. Now there is knight also guarding on g4, and bishop to g4 is the next move. King to g8, bishop to g4, and now knight to g5. Bishop captures on d7, and queen captures on d7. So what has happened? A lot of moves have passed, and now no one can stop this knight to actually come to f5 square. So knight to f1, and the only move that actually will keep black in the game, Andersson plays it, is f5. You have to play it, otherwise when this knight comes, this is just too bad for black. We have e captures on f5, queen captures on f5, and now knight to g3 with tempo, queen to f7, and now queen to e2. Now it's time to actually bring the other rook into the game, open up the f file, and start with the attack. We have bishop to f6. Also possible here was now knight to e4, blocking in on this pawn, so continuing Karpov style, but here Karpov for the first time disregards that, and he plays rook to f1 right away, because he senses that in this position he needs to open it up very soon and go for the attack right away. We have queen to d7, and now f4, of course, and now we have series of exchanges. E captures on f4, rook captures, bishop captures on c3, and rook captures on c3. And we see in this position the material is equal, but yeah, look at these black pieces. They are all on the queen side, and we have this knight here and this rook here. Knight very close. The queen is also on the e file. This rook will come very soon here. White is in a better position. An awesome positional play by Karpov. Now that it all opened up, he is just in a much better position, and now he will just go for a win slowly, but yeah, just that will be just awesome. Rook to e8, attacking the queen, and now rook to e3. And now actually you cannot capture the rook, because rook to f8 is check, and king to h7, rook to h8 is checkmate. So okay, Andersson saw that, so he first have to play rook from b to b8. But now queen to f2 is played. Once again, cannot capture on e3 because this is check. Of course, you don't want to capture because the same idea is checkmate. So you would have to go with the king on h7, but then rook captures on b8, and queen to f8 is the next move. There is a forced mate in 8, and yeah, black cannot go out of it, essentially. So once again, here that wasn't played, rather knight to h7 defending on f8, and now we have knight to f5, bringing the other knight. And as we can see, all the pieces are in the attack now. Rook captures on rook captures on e3, finally the exchange, queen captures on e3. And now you cannot attack with rook to e8 because one of the knights will give a check. For example, knight from g to e7 check, king goes to h8, and yeah, you can go queen to g3, attack on g7, and there is actually no stopping that. Black will need to give something up. So knight to f6 was played, and now we have a knight from g to e7 check nevertheless. And yeah, here king to h8 was played. Also possible, let's say, king to h7, since the knight was moved to f6, so that the king can also move to h7. Now we have, once again, queen to g3 with threats capturing on g7. And if you have capture on h5, defending on g7, just queen to g6, this knight will fall and the attack will continue. So king to h8 was played, and now knight captures on h6. Let's say the final blow, because you're sacrificing this knight, and if black captures, you have just rook captures on f6, queen captures on h6 follows, and there is no stopping checkmate. So here, instead of capturing, we saw rook to e8, but now there is knight to f7, and king to h7 is the only move. Here, actually, Karpov had a forced mate in 6. He played rook to e4, which is also a good move because knight to e4, queen to e4, yeah, you have these two blockades, and this is forced checkmate, so you cannot take the rook with the knight, so a very good move. But he had, for example, knight to g5, and if king goes to h6, you have rook captures on f6, g captures on f6, knight to f7 check, king to g7, queen to h6 check, king to f7, queen to h7 check, king to f8, and knight to g6. Okay, it is hard to actually see all of that, but essentially he had that. He could have ended this game quite beautifully, but also what he played isn't any far less from very good. Rook to e4 here. We had rook captures on e7, and after rook captures on e7, actually here Andersson finally resigned the game in move 60, because okay, the queen can move to g4, but here Karpov can even exchange queens. In the end, he will stay only the exchange up, but once again with a position that is win very easily. And it will seem like in the end he didn't get anything for all of this play, but essentially Karpov will win this game and he will continue on winning. So yeah, and this is it pretty much for this game. You have seen, I guess, for the first time on this channel, a totally different approach to playing games and a totally different style. We will see more of that coming into next videos of Karpov, and I really like to enjoy this video because I really enjoy this game, and I'm really glad that I managed to show it to all of you guys. So yeah, that is pretty much it. I would like to thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time.